Boys Love Week is a concept dating back to very early 2016, where we decided to celebrate the most romantic of months with the most romantic of romances, which is the romance between two consenting adult men.
It actually started as an excuse for us to play sports games, and then we just called it Boys Love Week because we're assholes.
And it was in February.
I don't even know if originally, I don't know why it was called Boys Love Week. We only made one video per year about it.
Yeah.
It's called Boys Love Week because we had a fishing game we wanted to play. We didn't. And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. This Nuzlocke is getting harder all the time. Boys Love Week is getting more sensual every time. Anyway, I don't remember how we pivoted into visual novels, but it feels appropriate given the name of the...
Yes.
It just kind of happened.
Sort of a cart before the horse, chicken and the egg situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course. And due to the introspective, sort of artful nature of our most recent venture into Boys Love Week, we decided to have a roundtable discussion, sort of a book club, if you will. And the subject of today's book club, Boys Love Book Club, is that anything? Is called A New Life. Go play this game. It's not going to take you more than 20 minutes, probably. And it's, I think, we'll spoil it. Probably worth the experience if you like, short little bite-sized romance.
Yeah, certainly if it's not
It's, it's $2.
$2.
It's $2 on Steam.
You're fine. And if you're a real asshole, you can just return it afterwards. So
Yeah, honestly.
whatever.
What a terrible thing to do.
They know. If you're on Steam, you know.
All right, Justin, should we put a spoiler tag and be like, or should we do parts without spoilers and then we'll be like...
We'll get onto the spoilers later. Go play the game, and we'll start the non-spoiler discussion.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right, Justin, what are your initial impressions of A New Life?
I enjoyed the concept, and I thought it was a pretty good story.
Do you want to dive a little deeper in on that?
It's a nice little choose your own adventure genre type game, and there's multiple routes and endings and that, and then the fact that it tries to prompt you to different...
Well, we didn't... So, Liam...
We'll get into it.
Yeah. Liam could probably explain what that is reference to.
Yeah.
So we all played this on the same account, and the game basically begs for, almost in an Undertale-like fashion, a sort of meta-narrative for you to go back to the beginning and replay it to try to get a better ending, because most of the endings you can get are kind of bummers. And it has little flags that appear on mistakes you've made during the course of your playthroughs to help steer you in the right direction to getting the best ending. But I played it first, and my straight run through didn't have any of those flags, so I didn't win.
Yeah, I played it second, and I thought they were trying to psych me out. I was like, no way, no way. Oh, they're just trying to get in my head, get me to choose the wrong decision.
Trying to get you to metagame about
I was like,
the child.
Yeah. I thought they were trying to give me a metagame, but turns out that don't you dare touch the only piece of Boys Love merchandise in this house.
Oh no.
Boys Love is canceled.
I thought they were trying to get me to like psych me out. No, it was 100% serious, and only after Liam told me, I was like, oh, yeah, probably should have followed those. But I did assume that Justin would get it right the first time.
Justin actually got psyched out.
Yeah, we were so close.
I didn't even notice any of the prompts. Didn't even notice them. I just thought it was
Do
part
you
of the game.
remember when your girlfriend texts you and says the morbigavirus is happening? This is our last chance to get anything. What do you think we need? And it prompted you. This is probably the last chance we have to see a doctor. Spoilers. You can just beep. This is your last chance to whatever.
Spoiler discussion. Oopsie, started like 30 seconds ago.
Well, cut the...
It's so short. It's so short. It's hard to not get into spoilers.
It is hard.
There's like 5 things that happen. Not even 5 things that happen
Depending on whether or not you tell the only other person that's shown in the entire game to go fuck themselves in the first 5 minutes of the game.
5 minutes. It's like 5 seconds in, you get a choice, and if you choose the wrong answer, game ends.
Game ends.
Yeah.
And then, like a minute into the game, you get another choice where if you choose the wrong answer, game ends. And then from there, you may think you're safe.
But I guess this is getting more into the meat of the discussion. Those aren't the only choices you're given.
No.
You're given a lot of what might be considered fluff, but just choices of how you're going to steer the conversation in the game. It makes you feel like you have a lot more control than, say, a regular visual novel that is common on Steam, where it's just a lot of waiting and reading and waiting, not so much choosing or...
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of choices, and some of them are like either game enders, but a lot of them are just like little cute little things so you can get different selections.
And each one changes the dialogue in ways that ultimate affect future dialogue in the game too. Like, take the wedding scene. I don't remember which dialogue choice it was, but the first one I chose had, it'd say like, we're going to be together forever, and then the next one's like, we're going to be together until we die or something. And the third one is like, I couldn't live without you or so. All based on other smaller choices you'd made previously. Because the wedding scene, spoiler alert, it's like 4 minutes into the game.
Yeah, definitely. The game goes real fast.
It goes real fast.
Yeah, they called it a 40-minute experience, but I think that's if you try to get literally every ending possible. Maybe you get to 40 minutes. I did it while I was in the middle of one of my college classes.
Yeah, we knocked the whole thing out in
I
10
did it.
minutes.
We did another playthrough, and then Justin did it, and I was still in class. So,
I think I did 4 playthroughs in the time it took for Justin to come. But most of them were just testing out the other dialogue options to see, like, what if I tell her, no, she can't sit next to me? And it's like, well, you don't marry her. End of game.
Game ends. Yeah, there's a couple of those before you even... I guess the first... Yeah, right away, it's like... You if you choose to just not play the game, then they're like, all right, you don't get to play the game.
You're just wholly allowed to walk away from the experience.
Yeah.
You paid $2 for on Steam. So, well, I guess I'll return this. I got my whole minute and a half of enjoyment of downloading it and then uninstalling it.
Yeah, I think the installation process might take longer than it takes to get to that, like,
your internet connection.
Well, to get to that point where the game will just, if you say no to the game will say no to you. Like, I think that might take about as long as it takes to download the game.
I don't know, it's like the art is so endearing that you want to see more of it, and the music sets the tone in a way that disarms you, I think, perhaps a little. So everything in there is kind of pushing you forward to wanting to see how this relationship will continue to develop.
Yeah.
And just as much as they focus on big moments like the wedding and, everything, the first meeting and the first kiss, they have other moments that are just like any part of their relation, like any random night where they stay up talking and them moving into an apartment together and just enjoying an afternoon, which I think is important for establishing and like maintaining the realism of this relationship.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the art is good, except for the one bit of reused art, which really confused me.
We'll get into nitpicks once we kind of get the whole of the.
Yeah, should we just spoilers? Just explain the whole thing. So
Sure.
there's like 6 scenes in the whole game. There's the first scene where you meet at like a
Like set pieces.
yeah,
kinda.
like full scenes where things happen.
So there's the one where you meet in cafeteria.
Yeah.
There's one immediately next where you're hanging out in a dorm room, probably.
Yeah, something like that.
And then one following that is one random night where neither of them could sleep. Mm-hmm. Then the one after that, I think, is marriage.
I think it's
The news about the virus, and then
no. Is the texting before any of that, or is marriage first?
You get,
I think marriage.
yes, because there's a chance to look at your phone to get a text notification for viruses happening, which I did on my first playthrough, which is how I knew about it because I didn't get any pop-ups of. And then after the wedding, is kind of the wedding is the first like you can choose a doomed thing, but it leads to 2 different set pieces instead of just an end card. Whereas if you choose to have a wedding that's big and full of people and everyone's there and whatever, then it will lead to your wife getting their version of the coronavirus and then dying after you FaceTime them. They die alone in the hospital, and that's the end of the game. Cool. But if you don't do that, then you'll have text conversations. So it goes to text conversations where you have a couple of questions you can ask or answer, and then they get an apartment together. And then at the apartment, they have a moment where, but they're both working from home because of the virus, and you can talk about your concerns about your wife working herself to death because she's, starting to exhibit some health problems. And then after that, your wife gets sick because of brain cancer. And then there's a scene where you're standing over her in a hospital bed. That counts as 2 scenes, really, because there's a time skip. And then your wife dies. Then there's a scene walking back to your house alone. And that's the end. Whoops.
Well, okay. One quick thing is that there's passage of time after you express concern for your wife's health. I think there's supposed to be because like their hair gets gray.
Yeah, but I don't know how much passage of time and how gray they're, unless it's just reused art again.
I think the hospital scene is reused art.
Yes.
And because their hair is black in that, but in the montage.
No, but that's the same montage of their growing old as when you get the successful ending. So I think that's just maybe an overlooked part. I don't think that much time has passed because I told my wife when I was in my first playthrough, during that conversation of, hey, you're overworking yourself, I'm like, you should go to the hospital. She said, I don't want to go to the hospital because pandemic. And I said, get your ass to the hospital or I'm taking you there myself by force. It wasn't actually that forceful, but I'm editorializing perhaps. So I think it's implied there that we got in as soon as we could and didn't find it until it was too late, and then whoopsie doodle, because she lives until the pandemic ends.
Yes, always. I think in every route that...
Unless she dies of the pandemic.
Yeah, she either dies of the pandemic or she lives through the pandemic. But that scene of them exiting the house several times, I think is supposed to show a lot of passage of time, is what I took that, because their hair like turns to gray, both of them. And it
Well, that's what,
really...
I can understand that reading of it, but I read it...
But that's what it physically is, and I think they just didn't consider that for... they made it with the one purpose, and then they just reused it for other...
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes. Yeah. So I'm saying I think their intent was not to say that 40 years had passed, but to just be like time has passed at all, because the 2 outcomes. Let's just spoil the whole thing. Your wife
We've
dies.
been in spoiler warning for like 10 minutes.
Your wife dies.
Yeah.
Even in the good ending. there's nothing you can do. So during one of the text conversations, your wife says that she has to work from home because of the virus, and asks if there's anything else that you want her to pick up before she comes home. And my first playthrough, my options were to say, can you get more snacks, or can you come home because I'm bored? So I said, can you come home because I'm bored, because, pandemic, you don't need to go out and just get snacks. Because I feel like that would be setting up the idea that we're more frivolous than we need to be and we're less careful. And then I asked her to grab masks, and then I asked her to just come straight home. And then she died of a brain tumor. And she didn't remember that I existed at the end, and it was very, very sad. And then that was the end. And then Josh got a similar ending.
Yeah.
Except during the text conversation, this is the prompts we're talking about, Justin.
Yeah.
Is it prompts, this is the last chance we're going to have for a while to go see a doctor before, the hospitals get filled up. Yeah. And then your text prompts that you can say to her change from go get snacks or I'm worried about you, please come home, it's dangerous out there.
Well, it's like I'm scared, but me being a human being who's in the middle of a pandemic was like, fuck hospitals, because my father went to a hospital, and then like 3 days later they were like, yo, turns out someone on your floor had coronavirus, you should get tested. And I was like, so I that's what I was thinking with my real life brain. I should have been metagaming
harder.
Yeah. Way harder.
You were in a circle. I saw the beach ball spinning in your mind. And then Justin read that prompt and thought, let's go to the hospital. And then the moment his wife was like, I don't think we should go to the hospital, Justin was like,
resources. And I was like,
you're right.
You're right.
Too pure.
You're a smart lady. Anyway, his wife died too.
Yeah, everyone's wife died.
So then immediately, I'm talking 5 seconds have passed that Josh has had to mourn his wife before we hit restart. And speed ran it. Where every single, we had a comedy playthrough trying to make each other laugh, where every single line we replaced with our own line of, bitch, get your ass to the hospital. Because that's what our whole. So we got to the text. We told her to go to the hospital. She protested. We told her to go to the hospital. She protested. We told her to go to the hospital. And she finally said, okay, I'll set the appointments up. And then she's like, man, I'm tired. Now wake up before you. And we said, go to the hospital immediately. Not dicking around on this one. And then the very next scene was not, them growing old or whatever. It was her coming home saying the surgery was a success. It's like, ooh. So I think the game is set up so it really expects you to blow it a couple of times before you get it right.
Definitely.
And then, you grow old with your wife and you get a cat, which is important. We didn't even talk about, the minutia of...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that only happens during, the good ending, though, right? Mm-hmm.
You only get a cat during the good ending. So the good ending is that you live until you're super old, and then she dies. But she does remember you as she's dying this time. And then you actually get to read through her journal, which during the conversation at night, you can choose to talk about dreams or fears. Mm-hmm. And I chose to talk about fears, and you both chose to talk about dreams. So their dreams, they talk a little bit about, they want to open up a business or whatever. And I don't know if there's anything that correlates to that Chekhov's gun so much.
Well, she talks about we never... did the thing in our dreams.
I guess we're happy enough as we are. So I guess it's kind of a closed book on...
But I think you got that regardless of not choosing dreams.
Yes.
So...
I chose fears, which was much more apt for the first ending I got. Because they say, what's your biggest fear? So my fear is that everyone will leave me. And then the wife leaves them because she dies. So they set up the journal in that story beat, though. Mm-hmm. They say, if I... die, I'll leave you something. They said, what, your cat pictures? Sure. She goes, yeah, I'll leave you cat pictures, but I'll also leave you a journal full of my stuff. And the whole game is full of things like that, which I think also helps the fact that it is so short and crunchy that you do multiple takes or run-throughs because so many different story beats are... you'll either get a setup for one thing or you get a setup for another, and so many of them are resolved in the couple of different endings that you get, that you really don't get a full, complete look at all of the characters until you've, lived through their lives in a couple different ways. Like, I'm sure during Josh's playthrough, the fact that your wife draws pictures, but only of cats, never came up.
Yeah, it never came up.
Never came up.
Absolutely not. I barely even knew my wife, if you can believe that. In the 5 minutes we knew each other, I didn't learn a damn thing about her. It's like my real marriages. Fuck me. It's too relatable.
Too relatable. So, and then the ending, I think, might have been one of the weaker parts, like because it is just the same as your wife dies, and then it's a lot of reused pictures and asked to portray.
Yeah.
I like aesthetically how they change, where the music stops, and then it's like a much slower paced backing, and then all the colors kind of drain out, and it's a visual metaphor that I think is apt and succinct. But the just kind of reuse of your wife dies, as it's good now though. And the fact that she's like, go out, live your life, find someone else, but they're canonically like 80.
Yeah.
Like,
go have sex in an old folks' home.
Your cat's like 40, so that's not going to live long either.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that... but there's not much really to complain about, because there's not really that much there. It's a very short...
And it's... I think it wants you to focus more on like the journal, which is why it allows you to look through it once you finally get the good ending, even though you get it every other ending.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts, Justin?
Not really. It's just a pretty good game, and I think we all highly recommend it.
Yeah. I can't fucking believe Justin is so goddamn pure. He almost got that ending. Holy shit.
It was very close.
I knew.
It was very close.
I was like, Liam, Justin is going to get this ending because he is so beautiful and pure, and his soul is ready for this love. Okay? I knew.
Is you ready for this? She dies of brain cancer.
Well, he would have gotten the good ending where she dies of not brain cancer.
Not brain cancer.
She remembers you in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they still use the same, you're young, looking at your wife dying of brain cancer picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look.
I don't know. The art's good enough that I never got sick of looking at, but...
Yeah, but for such a short game, just go in Photoshop and color that
wrinkles.
hair, color that hair, add a wrinkle or two, like, I don't know. But, other than that tiny gripe, I think we all...
Yeah.
I mean, again, there's not even anything bad to complain about because there's so little that I think they could, like, fine-tune everything that was there. It was a good experience.
It's basically forgivable.
Yeah, I mean, that's
It is for... It's more than,
Yeah.
I think
it is highly recommended.
Yeah.